TitleMatchNetwork.com.
A couple years ago, you were brought down to OVW for a training seminar. What happened between you and CM Punk?
I wanted to kick his little butt is what happened. Because they brought me down to talk to the guys. And CM Punk, every time I say something about old school, he made fun of it. You know, he made little slickers and stuff up and all that. Because he got no respect for the past. So I told him to keep his mouth shut while I'm talking, while I come up and shut it for him. And that's what happened.
Do you think he gained your respect by the end of the session?
No.
No. So there's still a little bit of heat there.
Well, we was casual with each other, but Punk is what you see on TV is not fake. Let's put it that way. What you see is the true Punk. And he was trained by Harley Race. Something happened along the line there. He's not acting on TV. Let's leave it that way. He's not acting. He really believes he's better than people. It's not. That's why Vince did it. Vince got a reason. Vince would make you be you. Because when you fake, eventually people will see through you. But when you be yourself, they can't see through you.
It's true.
See?
Let's talk about the Hall of Fame. In 2006, you were inducted by S.D. Jones. Was that your choice to be inducted by SD, or was that the office?
It was mine. Because they asked me who I want to get inducted by. I said, well, there's only one person. It got to be SD.
What are your memories of that weekend?
It was great, and it was sad. Because not in 1,000 years would I thought that'd be the last time I see SD.
It's true.
He died a year later. I never saw that man again. My best friend I ever had in the wrestling business, one of my best friends, and when I shook hands with him the next morning and wished him a nice trip home, and I left and jumped on the airplane, not in 1,000 years I thought, Tony, this is the last time you're going to see S.D. Jones. Not in 1,000 years did I thought that.
As far as being inducted into the Hall of Fame, what was that? What did that mean to you?
I'm glad it happened, but I think there's a lot more people deserving it more than me. You know, I think there's a whole lot more people. And then when I see they induct people that don't deserve it, like last year they had this comedian. They should never put him in there.
I agree.
He didn't earn the right to do that, you know. And then they would put a guy in like Real Perry the Refrigerator, and Bob Uecker.
Right.
You know, I think they kind of degraded when they just, you know, when you can wrestle one time
and be in the Hall of Fame.
And be in the Hall of Fame, that don't say much for the Hall of Fame. And then when you got great wrestlers that dedicate their whole life to this business, that don't have a Hall of Fame ring. You know, why Kevin is not there. You know, Johnny Weaver before he died, Wahoo McDaniel. You know, I can name tons and tons of people. Killer Kowalski, I don't know if they ever put him in there or not. You know, you could go on and on with all these great stars. Haystack Calhoun, he's deceased, but still, you know, guys that really made a contribution to this business. I mean, guys that trained me, Gene and Ole Anderson. You know, what happened to these guys? They don't deserve that. You know, and you know, speaking of Kevin again, you think of Kevin Solomon, all he did with this business. You know, he started down here with the when it was Mid-Atlantic wrestling. Then he went to Florida and wrestled. And then he was one of the guys that made Nitro and that WCW big way back when there was nothing going on great in wrestling. He was one of the genius men that came up with programs to really make that WCW work. And you know, when he left, it wasn't the same anymore. ECW, you know. people that got that, like the Sandman and all them guys that really got that ECW going, you know, that really made Vince sweat if they were doing so good. Their name never brought up.
Looking back on your career, do you have any regrets?
No. Everything is fate. Everything that happened to me, the good and the bad, is all what made me. If everything had been great for me my whole life, I wouldn't be who I am now. If everything had been bad my whole life. And I think a human being need that balance in life to keep them humble. Imagine Tony Atlas never, ever making a mistake or having a failure. We wouldn't be doing this interview. Because I would have felt that I'm too good to sit down in the room and talk a couple of hours to you about an interview. The kids that I trained in Maine would have never been trained because I would have been above that. Experienced the life of a homeless person. I would have never experienced that. Knowing what it's like to be successful, I would have never experienced that. Because before I was successful, but I didn't feel it. I couldn't feel it.
Right.
I felt like I deserved it. When I went back to manage Mark Hendrick and to be in the Abraham Washington show, I felt it for the first time in my life. What it felt like to be successful. But I had to lose it all to have the appreciation for what it is now. And I met a whole lot I would have never met my wife if it wasn't for me failing. I had to fail to meet my wife. I would have never developed a relationship with my daughter if I hadn't failed. I was above all that. I was above family, above friends, above respecting anything but me. And becoming when I became homeless, I became humble. So sometimes the bad things in your life are the best things in your life. It's going to teach you to be humble, teach you to be appreciative. It teaches you how to really learn what life is all about. Life ain't all about success. It ain't all about failing. It's about both. You have to have both in your life to be complete. Because you never learn anything if you never fail.
It's true.
And you never appreciate nothing either if you never lose. How you going to know the joy of winning the Super Bowl if you win every one you ever go to? After a while, it don't mean nothing. But if you lose, and you know what it feels like to sit in that dressing room and see the other team celebrate, and then your turn comes, it's much sweeter there. This was the best trip I ever did with the WWE. This is the first time I enjoyed being there. I did less. I was older, fatter, less popular. One of the best WWE trip I ever made. But I didn't press and Hogan and Army. I did that. I pressed a lot of people. It didn't mean nothing. I was used to making big money. Didn't mean nothing. But now, I'm a lot more appreciative of things. I got a greater love for people and country.
Is there anything you want to say to your fans out there that you never had a chance to say before?
Yes. Nothing comes from negative but negative. Since I've been off, I've been watching a lot of TV. I'm not a very political person. But here lately, we can't say nothing about president, government, or country that is not negative. One day, we talk about we live in the greatest country in the world. 5 suckers later, we're talking about how bad everything is. You can't have it both ways. Even when you're in the greatest country in the world, or you're in the worst country in the world. You can't have it both ways. You have to decide. If George Washington, Thomas Jefferson had become as negative as the society is today, we wouldn't have to worry about bad mouthing the country because there wouldn't be no country. I've been to every country in the world with the exception of 3. And you ask any wrestler on this planet, when you come back to America, you know you came back to the best country in the world. I was in Guatemala, Central America in 1975 when they had the big earthquake, and we left, me and Don Canuto, Roberto Soto, a bunch of us, we left one day before that massive earthquake hit in 1975 in Guatemala, Central America. And I had a girl over that I was dating at the time. And I went to say goodbye to her before we left. Her mother said, "You can't see my daughter because you're a liar. And we are Catholics, and we Christians, and we believe in God, and we don't believe in people that lie." And I said, "What did I lie to your daughter about?" She said, "Well, my daughter asked you, were you rich? And you said no." I said, "Well, I'm not." She said, "You have a refrigerator?" "Yes, ma'am." "A car?" "Yes, ma'am." "A stove?" "Yes, ma'am." "A TV?" "Yes, ma'am." She said, "See, you're a liar because nobody has that much that is not rich." We don't came to the place that we have to have more than what we need to feel rich. You have to have 10 times what you need for a lifetime to feel good. And then even then, we don't feel good about it. Whereas in Guatemala, Central America, if you got just the simple necessity of life, you are rich. And we have lost that somewhere along the line. See, like the more we have, the more unhappy we become. We have lost that appreciation because for such a long time, we've been on top for so long. And the country right now reminds me of the old Tony Atlas. I was on top in every territory I went, and I lost my appreciation for the life I was living. So I had to lose that life and then get pieces of it inch by inch back to make me appreciate the life that I was blessed with. So I asked all the wrestling fans out there, and all my American fans, do we as a country have to lose everything that our ancestors worked for in order for us to appreciate what we have? You won't get nothing in life from thinking negative or talking negative or putting down somebody else. The energy you use putting down somebody else, if you use that same energy in building yourself, you will not only make yourself a greater person, but you will make the country itself a greater person. So stop being negative. Stop talking bad about things. Because if you really want something to get pissed off about, go and live a week in India or Africa and live the way they live. Within a week, you have a hell of a lot to be mad about. Trust me.
Well, I want to thank you for being here with us today. It was a great interview.
Thank you, sir.
Do you want to plug your book?
Yes. For all those that don't know Tony Atlas, you can go to crowbarpress.com and receive Too Much, Too Soon by Tony Atlas. It explains my ups, my downs, my likes, my dislikes, and it explains the fact that I was raised in the greatest country in the history of the world, the United States of America, and this life and this story could only take place in one of the greatest nations in the world. Too Much, Too Soon, crowbarpress.com. Get your copy now.
Can we hear your laugh?